Today I want to share with you my experience as a 10 years of living on fruits and vegetables, and why I did it, how it is. Well, for the beginning, I was a sick child, and with 22 I was experienced a lot of health problems, and I didn't want surgery. So, and like to do 2 surgeries, I was pre-diabetic or diabetic. So I looked for something that would help me. You know, I lost my faith in medical doctors and in allopathic medicine and in the usual nutritionists, and I started looking for myself. And I eventually found veganism and raw foods, and I was amazed. You know, it made a lot of sense. 700,000 species in the planet, and they all eat raw foods. Just human beings eat cooked food, and we're sick. You know, we're such a sick species. And it made a lot of sense. And I tried, because I already have tried like a whole lot of therapies and a lot of stuff, and it didn't work. I knew I wasn't getting better, but I was getting worse every day. So I felt like, what the hell? It made a lot more sense to eat food like in the way it's presented, it's offered by nature, than instead of, like, you know, cooking food, refining, processing, and you know, and just, you know, after you get, and don't worry about exercise and lifestyle habits, and in the end you just, you know, take some pills and, you know, cut some organs out or cut some, you know. It made a lot more sense, health through healthful living, instead of living conventionally. So I started eating raw foods, you know, but I didn't know what to do, how to do it back then. And there was like living food people talking about, you know, sprouting and, you know, juicing and doing a lot of, you know, gourmet stuff with the food. And there were the fruitarians, and I was like, well, eating fruits, just fruits, I don't think that work, you know. It sounds like it misses something. But fruit is a lot more tasty and easier to eat than do all those complicated recipes that I didn't know how to begin. I tried it, like, you know, taking a bite out of a sweet potato, but it tastes bland, and it was hard. I just couldn't eat it. So there were no courses nearby in December for raw foods, for living foods, you know. And I was like, okay, so because I don't know how to do it and it would take some time to learn, let me just start eating fruit. It makes a lot more sense. But I knew it was missing something. And then I started eating a lot of fruit for like 2 months. Mostly fruit. I ended up eating some cooked food when I was really hungry, but that was it. And in Christmas, but that was it. It was 99.9% fruit. And I felt like, whoa, like a new world come into place, you know. I never thought I could feel so good. I never thought my mind could be so clear. My exercise, I could breathe so much better. I didn't have any more symptoms. My medical doctor for the nose, I don't know the name in English, but he told me that I was going to have allergy and breathing problems my whole life, even after surgery. And my allergy, my sneezing, and all the respiratory problems that I had were gone, you know, in like days. I was amazed. I was like, wow, why didn't nobody told me this before? It's amazing. And I felt like a million, and I knew I was on the right track. So after eating primarily fruit for 2 months, I I was really thin. I didn't know anything about raw foods. I never studied. I never ate raw foods, you know. So I got really thin. Why? Because I was like, before starting raw foods, I was doing heavy exercise, you know, lifting weights for an hour and swimming for 1 hour. So I was quite muscle guy, and I had a high caloric output. I had a high calorie needs. So I started eating like 2 bananas or 3 bananas per meal, you know. You feel full. You eat like unripe bananas and you feel quite full, and you're like, what? You know, and you start losing weight. And I knew I need more searching and I need more study. So I got back into the internet and started looking and looking and looking. And I found only people talking about fruitarianism or living foods, fruitarianism. And then I saw an interview with Andrew Wills against Douglas Graham. I didn't know Douglas Graham at the time. And I started reading, and Douglas Graham made a lot of sense, you know, talking about anthropoid primates, and we share a genetic material with them. Anthropologically speaking, we weren't. Grains is such a new thing in human diet, and I was like, this guy knows what he's talking about. And I went on to his website, fruitandsport.com. I saw that, you know, a 50-year-old guy, all like ripped, and you know, and the FAQ talking about anthropoid primates again, and you know, we were made for fruits and vegetables, and I was like, that makes a lot of sense, you know. Just fruits, it doesn't sound right, but fruits, vegetables, and a little bit of nuts and seeds, I think that must be it. And you know, I knew it wasn't my anniversary, actually. It was on my birthday, 17th of February, 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. And I knew I found it, you know. Actually, I went on to eat cooked food just afterwards, you know, because I scheduled like a birthday party with my ex-girlfriend back then. But I went there like, this is my last cooked meal ever, you know. It wasn't, that's for sure, but in my mind it was. So I was sold, and I bought Doug's book, The 80-10-10 Diet, and as soon as I didn't eat any cooked food afterwards, and as soon as the book arrived, like a week afterwards, something like that, I devoured I read, since it got in my door, when the mail guy just gave me the book, I stopped and just read the book until it was finished. When it was finished, I knew I need to eat a lot more to regain my weight and to maintain a healthy weight in a raw food diet. I knew everything I needed to know, and I had the motivation. I knew people that were thriving in it, so I was doing it. You know, I was living 100% of raw foods, primarily fruit, and it was magical. And people told me that I was going to die of malnutrition, of hunger, I wouldn't know what I was doing, blah, 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 blah. But I felt like a million. And here I am, after 10 years and a half almost of living on fruit primarily, because it's like, you know, some days I live on fruit. But I eat a lot of vegetables as well, a lot. And some nuts and seeds. I prefer avocados and coconuts because it's more fresh, but still. And what I can share with you of all these 10 years, I had ups and downs, you know. Not ups and downs, I maintained myself with raw food easily because I exercise, I sleep early, I have a lifestyle that helps me to maintain my diet, you know. But nowadays, even if I had a crappy lifestyle habits, I wouldn't change my diet, and I don't need anything else. You know, I'm pretty okay with, like, you know, pretty happy actually. I wouldn't come back to eating cooked foods or anything else than food, even for $1,000,000. You know, for $1,000,000,000, I wouldn't. You know, that I have solved, and I have like sure of it in my whole, from my entire life. And I know also that I'm going to share this word, the raw food message, the hygiene message, for my whole life, for as long as I live. And I hope to live 120 years old, that's for sure. And it was a beautiful, like, it was the best 10 years of my life. The first 22 years, I was sick, and I didn't know it. People eating cooked food and living Western lives, they're not thriving, they're surviving. And I'm sad for that, because we all suffer. We all suffer because we're all connected. And I made a lot of mistakes during this 10 years. It is a learning process, it's a learning curve. So nowadays I know how much to eat, how to not overeat, how much to, you know, the proportion for vegetables between fruit and nuts and seeds, you know, and other raw foods that I didn't eat in the beginning, because I was like fruit. And nowadays I eat some mushrooms. Rarely I eat some mushrooms, rarely I eat some a carrot in a salad, rarely I eat some fresh peas or a fresh bean. It's quite rare, but it can happen, and I'm not worried about it. But that, for sure, the best time in my life, it's the ones I eat only fruits and vegetables from my hands. You know, just get the food and eat it. It's so much more satiating, and I have a peace of mind of not eating beyond my body's needs. So the message I can give you for this, for living 10 years in a raw food diet, it was unbelievable. My mental power, my mental performance, my physical performance, my ethical performance, you know, because we share the world with 8 billion human beings, and with a lot of other species, plant species, animal species. So we need to be ethic. We need to, you know, aim for the highest ethical behavior that we can have with everything, with everybody. So I believe when our blood is purified by, you know, living a healthy lifestyle, by the body, when you live a healthy lifestyle, that your mental and your psychology changes so much that you start to be, you are pure in your heart, you are pure in your soul. It's like a child, so naive and caring. You cannot hurt people, you know. You want to give love instead of anger. So one of the most important things in a raw food diet, in a natural hygiene lifestyle, is that your intentions become pure. It's hard to, you know, make mistakes because your mind is so clear, and you feel your emotions, and you understand more the life outside of you, you know, the whole world you live in. You're just not, you know, like in a fast-paced, crazy anger. So eating raw foods is good for your body, good for your health, good for your mind, good for your spirit, and good for social interactions. I see a world that is like crying, you know. Nature is crying, the animals are crying. Human beings are crying without realizing that all our social interactions, our the life quality, it's way worse than it should be. So the message I want to share with you, for the last 10 years, I didn't have any kind of symptoms, sickness. I reverted all my health problems. I'm not 100% healthy because epigenetics and metabolic programming, a lot of stuff that happens when you eat when you eat cooked food and you're exposed to it for a long period of time, even more in the beginning of your life, that it cannot be changed in this generation. According to Pottinger, it takes like 3 generations to reverse the cooking food process, the cooking food damage. So I'm the healthiest I can be right now, but I could be a lot healthier if I was born with like raw foods, but in a natural hygiene lifestyle. But I do my best, and I'm pretty happy with it because you feel like a million. It's the best feeling ever. Being a raw food diet that comes from the earth, like really fresh food, only fresh food and only water-rich foods. It's your heart wants to scream and tell people like that I found a solution. It's so much easier, so much tastier, so much better. Let's all change it. So I saw so many things and I felt so many things after 10 years of living on fruits and vegetables, caloric restriction, intermittent fasting, that it's like I want to share with the world, and I want to share with you. I want you to like feel it, the same thing I felt, the same information that I had, so you are 100% sure and motivated to make the change, to live 100% in raw food, plant-based vegan diet. So if you want more motivation, you want more tips, recipes, and events, stay tuned for our channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, to our Instagram, to our mail letter, to our Facebook fan page, and also for keep an eye on our retreats here in Brazil in Frugal Health retreat center. We have like a huge organic garden, huge 150 trees planted. We have durian and things like that. It's still baby trees, but they will grow with time. And also we have culinary retreats, we have fruit festival retreats, and you can come to learn like natural hygiene, gourmet, frugivore foods without all those agave and all the crappy raw foods that considered to be raw foods, but we know that it's after it went through industrial process, after it went through a refining process, it's not raw anymore. It can be raw, but it's not fresh. It's not natural food anymore. So stay tuned and give it a thumbs up, comment below, and a lot of frugal health for you and your family.